Artificial intelligence. Let's have a talk about it. Hey everybody, it's Ed. Welcome back to the channel. I just wanted to take a few minutes and talk about AI and e-ink. I know that this is a big topic right now. I know that everyone has it on their minds. You have seen the ViWoods that's coming out and actually calling itself the AI Paper. It's a Kickstarter campaign. I don't know a ton about it other than the reviews I've watched, including a really good one from Kit Betts Masters where he talks about, kind of his first impressions of the device. There's some back and forth over whether or not I wouldn't call it a scam at this point, but I do have some concerns about who they're sending devices to and who they're choosing not to send devices to. I'm very glad that they got one to Kit because I think that he does a great job of talking about a lot of different devices in really good ways. I hope they get one to Voya at My Deep Guide here soon because I think we need to get that conversation started. But to be clear, they're not the first ones to talk about AI in their e-ink devices. But what I want to do is jump into that here and talk about something I saw on Reddit that was a fairly reasoned argument of why you might want to have AI mixed with e-ink. I'm not going to say I agree with that argument, but it was well presented and I think it's worth talking about. So let's go ahead and jump. I wanted to talk a little bit about this post. And again, I think this is a well reasoned, well presented argument for someone who wants a device that is the quality and customer service and all around company like Supernote and the Rada team to enter into this AI space. Now, again, I want to be real clear on what we're talking about with AI. That is such an overused buzzword term at this point. AI can be anything from machine learning, Siri and Google Assistant, all the way up to and including what we have now, which is generative AI, where you have large language models that are generating content from other things that they've consumed. I want to go through this post because I think it's really important. And I did a poll a little bit earlier asking all of you, and we've only had 9 responses so far, but please go in, let me know what you think. But I asked, what are your thoughts on whether AI should be in an e-ink tablet? And that was sparked directly from this post, which I haven't had time to respond to yet, but I plan to at some point. And so I kind of put these all in here. I said, are you all in? Let's go ahead and do this thing, bring in the bots. Interested, but in a limited capacity, interested, but concerned about security, or are you not interested at all? And out of the 9, I was kind of surprised at how many were not interested at all, but I wasn't completely surprised. And I think that's what plays out in some of the comments on this particular post as well. You get a lot of people that are angry, a lot of people who are saying, absolutely not, that's not the purpose of the device. But at the same time, I get this argument. When you're talking about things like the ViWoods AI paper, you're talking about the books products, you're talking about Big Me, you're talking about pretty much everyone is trying to put that AI buzzword into their systems. Again, I don't really think what they're talking about is AI in the purest sense. You look at these large companies like Lenovo and Intel and Microsoft, they're having dedicated neural chips to be able to handle the kind of processing speed. I think a lot of these things could be done even without going as far as AI. So, number 1 here was about AI transcription. I don't even know if it'd have to be AI transcription. Speech to text has gotten very good, and it isn't necessarily an AI thing. being able to plug in a peripheral through USB, being able to maybe use the Bluetooth connection, maybe to be able to use the Bluetooth connection that already exists on the Supernote platform to then be able to transcribe. I get it. I think that could be, for some people, very interesting. I don't know that Supernote will want to compete in that space. They might. I may be wrong about that. The second one, again, this is a popular feature. The Canvas Learning Management System now has a smart search feature, and it also has a discussion summary feature so that you can crawl through and summarize large amounts of discussion posts or large amounts of data. So it says being able to use AI to ask questions on your whole repository of notes you've ever taken to mine it for insights. Opens up an entirely new world of opportunities for your notebook. You can do this on the cloud right now with notebook.com Google, which doesn't surprise me. Again, another large language model that is very much running on a ton of servers and using a ton of power to make that happen. It would be interesting to see if they could do something like that, but I don't think it could be done on device. And I get that that's, not really 100% what this user or what this person is arguing for. Again, AI search through your notes and summarizing them, and I kind of mentioned that with Canvas. This idea of what the Supernote platform is designed for is really important. And I'm not going to go through and read this whole thing to you. I will link to it down in the description, and I do suggest you read it. Maybe Supernote will have capacity at some point in the future to do that. But considering the amount of power it takes, even on something like our phones, which now have generative AI capabilities in some cases, they can't even do it all on device. And the chipsets are newer, the hardware's newer, the amount of RAM is larger. I mean, there are a lot of different reasons why this isn't a feature. That may be my own opinion. And I really do get back to this idea of civility. And there are some people who are being very civil and very respectful in saying it may be the right thing for you, but let's agree to disagree. But I don't think that we need to get snarky about it or say some horrible things to somebody just because we disagree. All right, everybody. Thank you again for hanging out with me. I think it's really important to have these conversations. Again, I think Supernote is in a good space. I think they know what their product is, they know where they're going, they know what their target market is. It's really important for them, and I think for us as consumers, to understand if you want a device that does things that are outside of the scope, that device probably exists for you. And there are going to be a lot of devices out there for you to choose from. If you want something that is the right fit for you and it does the things you need it to do, that's the most important thing out there. And it's going to be an interesting conversation. I'm really excited about when the A5X2 hits the market to see what the uptake is and to see what people do with that new product, and also to see what cool things Supernote might do to keep innovating. Just one last thing on AI that I think is very important. Some of these products are charging more for a specific device because they have to do these calls. It's not free to run generative AI services. Now, again, Brian Alexander, who's a good friend of mine, recently had a short video on whether or not uh, generative AI is even sustainable into the future, whether there's a business model to be had. If you look at the amount of power it takes to run these supercomputers and to run these large server resources, and the amount of data they need to collect to be able to analyze and generate, and not to mention the amount of money that's being poured into these services with no viable business model to recover that capital. It's going to be interesting. I don't know, quite frankly, if it has a future or not. I kind of hope some form of it does, but at the same time, I think it needs to be reasonable. I think we need to have a conversation as a community whether or not that's going to be something that we want to give up that much privacy for. And it really depends on your own comfort level. Thank you again. Look down in the description for a link to this Reddit post, which I think starts a really good conversation. There'll also be a link to Brian Alexander and his comments on generative AI. And I may throw in a couple other AI resource related topics as well. I appreciate you spending your time with me. I know you have other things you could be doing, but thank you so much. Please like, subscribe, support the channel, use my affiliate links when I have them. It's a great help, and I will see you soon. And until then, take care.